It has never been easier to become rich by investing in real estate. Sign up now to attend the REMIC Wealth Institute's next free wealth building seminar in your area. It doesn't matter if you have good credit, poor credit, or no credit. You'll learn how to invest in real estate with no money down, no income, and no credit. Call 1-888-887-3642 or visit www.remiccorp.com.
Hi, we're back on What's Going On. I'm your host, Colin Jobe, and my special guest today, Timothy Barlow. Timothy is a columnist with Vaughan Citizen, also a perspective and life coach. We've been talking about a lot of really interesting concepts today. We just touched on emotional intelligence a few minutes ago. And can we elaborate on that some more?
Sure.
I want us to touch on that. I think it's a very important thing, and I think it's...
I do too.
Just learning about the concept. It's one of the eye-openers in terms of books that I've read. And I think that, it helps in terms of making decisions. It helps us learn about our emotions, how we can manage our emotions, because it's very easy for us to mismanage our emotions.
Sure.
And you go into any prison, within 5 minutes you can find a bunch of guys who grossly mismanage their emotions, right?
Absolutely.
And a lot of times we're not conscious of it.
Right.
So how do we, why should we look at this concept and possibly embrace it?
Well, with emotions, most of us, I don't know, when I was younger, I was raised to kind of like, you want something to cry about? Kind of, that kind of, right? And so if I had emotions come up, my natural reaction was just to kind of
shut them down?
Shut them down, and as a strategy, a lot of the times, I would go to my head, as a way to protect this.
Right.
I think all of us realize how fragile we are at times inside and how vulnerable we are to those emotions. And so by, capping it off at the neck and living up here, it provides that safety kind of place and that kind of stuff.
It's a good cushion.
But it doesn't really solve this, does it? I mean, like when we pack things down, we keep packing it down. If you have a trash compactor, for example, and you pack it down, that works for a while.
Right.
But eventually,
yeah.
I mean, it's so packed that, and it's going to start spilling out.
Right.
And this is where, this is like your midlife crisis kind of thing, is when it gets so full that what used to, take an hour for somebody to get under your skin now takes 2 minutes. And it's just, and because
set you
there's
off.
No room, you know what I mean? It's like you're trying to jam, and there's just no room anymore.
Compactor's full.
So, we literally have to, well, we don't have to, but we want to barf it out. You know what I mean? We just want to clear the garbage out. And then the next stage is to keep that area clean, which is to deal with the emotion as it comes. A lot of people are afraid to look at it because they're going to open this garbage can and go like, oh my God, that's a lot of stuff, right? and some people, are afraid that once they let it out, they won't be able to stop. And that's just not true. And in the beginning, it can be bumpier. I mean, I do like working with 20-year-olds, for example.
Oh, really?
Less baggage. It's like, we're gonna get to the same place, but we're gonna get there
sooner.
With just we do with a couple of issues where sometimes 40 and 50, there's a little bit of
there's a lot of resistance.
It's like, a lot of resistance.
And let's talk about that. Are there people who you actually don't want to work it or can't work it? You know what? You don't want to be negative, but this person's a write-off. There's nothing you can do about them.
It's rare. It's rare that happens for me. I don't like to really believe anybody's a lost cause. There have been times I have thought, why did I take this client? But no, I don't like to believe that about anybody. I believe change is possible for everyone. But what I won't work with anymore is when people are sent to me. And in my early career, I did that. Like companies would send an employee and you need to work with this guy. That's just not a really great environment for us to work at because this person doesn't want to learn it yet.
Right, so they're not ready.
Yeah, so there is a certain level of just, they have to have a reason to, they want to, and sometimes that can be from a tragedy in their life, sometimes it can be just a small little thing, or it could be I just want to improve, I want to be more successful. I mean, everybody's different, which is why when I call myself a perspective coach versus
a life coach,
is I'm not about how to. I think how, this may shock some people, but it's one of the most useless questions you can ask.
Useless?
I mean, it just, you know, how do you make $1 million? There's a million ways to make $1 million. Like, and when you're looking at that perspective, you're like,
it's confusion.
Right. Instead of asking a more profound question, which is why? Why do I want $1 million? Which is, you know, obviously there's no, but a more interesting question is,
more telling.
Why don't you have it now? You know what I mean? So now we start to get into, ooh, you know, kind of, and that's what changes when we shift our perspective. When we have a tiny little shift, initially it means nothing, but when you spread that shift out over time, it can be, you can be in a different county.
World.
Yeah, you're literally on a different planet.
Right, interesting, very interesting. You know, we also hear a lot about people being hypocrisy. There's a lot of hypocrisy in the world.
Just a little.
Just a little.
I wrote an article about that, actually. Yeah.
And actually, I was reading the article on your website. You're actually saying that we're all hypocrites. And
I don't know anybody who isn't. I haven't met one yet. I haven't met one yet.
Well, nice to meet you.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a big club. So, but membership is free.
No, so why would you say that though?
Again, without offending anybody, we're all liars at some level.
We're all liars.
We're all liars. Like I don't want to, you know, like, but I don't mean it in a negative way. It just means that, you know, we may even tell everybody else the truth, which is questionable, but we don't always tell ourselves the truth. We don't, like, for example, when we stuff that emotion down, we're not telling ourselves the truth, which is, I'm hurting right now. Or, you know, we may teach things to our children, you know, make sure you always tell the truth. And then Uncle Harry calls and we say, tell him I'm not here, you know? And so, you know, like, it's just, that's hypocrisy. That's like blatant hypocrisy, right? So it's just, you know, we all do it, but to varying degrees. Right. And then that's the world we get caught in. We say, that guy does it more, right? But as soon as we point that finger, you know, I remember one of the first classes I did, they said, okay, point your finger. And I was pointing my finger. They said, how many are pointing this way? I said, 1. They said, how many are pointing at you? 3. That's life. Right. Do you know what I mean? It's always about you. And the quicker you are able to get on board with that and to realize that life is just going on, it's my experience of life that I'm not enjoying. That's mine to look at, not theirs.
So that's what we need to focus on.
Don't need to, but you can choose to.
Okay, I hear it. It's a choice. It's all about a choice. It always is. Right. And is it possible to embrace change when you don't think that the future is going to be brighter?
Well, it'll be a bumpier ride, that's for sure. It's a little more difficult.
You're giving yourself a challenge.
But I think, you know, the way I would prefer to look at that is to say, change is inevitable. I mean, show me anything in this universe that doesn't change. Now, I know the standard, you know, taxes and all that, but even that changes. I mean, we're not paying the same taxes we were paying 20 years ago. The fact that we are paying taxes, but some taxes are less, some have been eliminated. You know,
So
everything.
There's something going on. It's not the same. It's not the same as it was.
Water changes, we change. Every cell in your body is completely different after a couple of years. It regenerates. There's like everything changes. Rocks change. Do you know what I mean? Like
so it's just a part of life.
It's just to accept that, you know, we're trying to keep everything the same. That's not natural. That's the part
real.
to right. Is when we say we want to be real, we have to accept the fact that we are going to change, whether we decide to or not. And if you decide not to, you're just creating pain. You're
setting yourself up.
You're just hurting yourself instead of surrendering.
Okay. All right, there you go. Great. Well, Tim, I want to thank you for coming on What's Going On. It's been a pleasure. We had a lot of fun.
Fantastic. I've enjoyed it.
Let's do it again real soon. Let's say I'm listening out there, though, and they want to get a hold of you. How does someone get a hold of you?
They can read the Vaughan Citizen. They can go to my website at madtoglad.com. You can phone me, 416-706-6223. Carrier pigeon. There's a lot of ways.
A lot of ways?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. I even volunteered at a homeless drop-in in Weston.
Okay.
So you can just drop by that. It's Weston King Neighborhood Center. And I'm always there on Fridays.
Excellent, excellent. Once again, thanks a million.
Fantastic. I had a great
Appreciate
time.
it.
Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome. Take care. Folks, that concludes another episode of What's Going On. Stay tuned for another episode coming real soon. Take care.